Good morning, Mount Olive. Let me introduce myself. My name is Jacob. Pastor Day called my friend Bertrain Bailey and asked him, you all know him as Chew, asked him if he could come and be a part of this pivot series. They were doing the pivotal steps that took place inside of my life. And Chew and I know each other personally, so he asked me if I would come in his stead on the day. And so I'm Jacob. If you've read the Bible, if you haven't read the Bible, Jacob is a familiar name. I'm the son of Isaac. I'm the grandson of Abraham. Abraham is the father of the faith. Y'all have heard people pray to the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. That's me. I'm Jacob. I'm a pretty big deal in the Bible. I'm pretty big. My grandfather, Abraham, that began the Jewish race and who also Christianity came out of, there are 10 chapters in Genesis written about him. My father, Isaac, he has 11 chapters written about him. I'm not trying to brag, but I got 25 chapters. I'm good. Written about me. Pretty big deal, you know. What you find out about me is that there's a lot of stuff that's not good. I'm going to be the first one to tell you. It's not good about me. For those of you who have read my story, you already know my name means trickster. It means heel grabber, supplanter. It means follower. And I got that name because I was a baby, and I'm a twin, if you didn't know that. And my twin brother's name was Esau. He was born just a few minutes earlier than me, and I could have been first. But he was first, and I wasn't there. I was there, but I was too young to remember. But they said I was grabbing his heel as he was coming out. And my mom and father named me heel grabber, a trickster. And I want to tell you, parents on the day, be careful what you name your kids. Because we may turn around and do exactly just that. Almost every time you see me in the Bible, I'm doing something deceitful. Now, I got to tell you, I got two sides to me. Everything about me is not bad. Amen. Everything about me is not bad. Now, and you can't just find one word to describe me. Now, you can find one word to describe my father, my grandfather, Abraham. Faithful. Faith. You can find one word to describe my son, Joseph. Faithful. You can find one word to describe Paul, obedient. But when it comes to me, you really just can't find one word to describe me, because one minute I'm tricking people, and the next minute I'm praying. I got a good and a bad side. I think that's why many of you all can relate to me, because you see a lot of me in you. I've been tricking people as long as I can remember. I remember the first trick I played was on my twin brother, Esau. He and I are polar opposites. Even though we're twins, we're polar opposites. He came out red and hairy, and I came out smooth and good looking. My brother, he was the Dwayne Johnson, the Rock of the family. He was the Hercules of the family. I was the Chris Brown, if you will, of the family. There's nothing masculine about me, nothing strong about me. My brother was hairy. He was always hunting, loved hunting. And one day he came back and he was famished from hunting, and he said, "Man, brother, make me something to eat. I'm about to die." And I told him no. And he said, "Brother, I'm telling you, ask whatever you want. Give me something to eat. I'm about to die. And I said, well, since you're about to die and you that hungry, then your birthright don't mean that much to you. I'd switch you a birthright for a meal. And he made the exchange. Then a couple years later, my dad was about to die. And he called my older brother Esau in, and he told my older brother Esau, I'm about to die. Go out there, hunt something, bring me back my favorite meal that I like to taste, and I'm going to bless you before I die. My mom was eavesdropping. My mom's name was Rebecca. She was eavesdropping, and she heard, and she called me and said, hey, your dad's about to die. He's about to bless your brother and not you. So what you need to do is, I got some goats back there while he's out there hunting and for the game, for the food. Why don't you just go get some hair from the goats and get some dirt, put on your brother's clothes so you can smell like them. And that's what happened. My brother went out hunting. I came back in. My father's eyesight had grown dim. I had goat skin, hair all on my neck and on my back, and I came in. My daddy didn't believe me, not for one moment. And he said it, if you read it. He said, now, you feel and smell like Esau, but you talk like Jacob. I just lied and lied and lied and lied. I wish I had a witness in here. And my father finally gave me the blessing. My brother Esau came back, and you all can imagine, he wasn't too happy about it. And my brother Esau was nothing. I knew I was no match for him. So I took off out of there. My mother sent me to my uncle's house, Laban's house, because I knew I could not beat up or defend myself against my brother Esau. He would have killed me. And I want to tell you, brothers inside here, sometimes it takes a big man to run like a little girl. I took off running. When you read my story on how I saw my love of my life, her name was Rachel. Her name was Rachel. The moment I saw her, I fell in love with her. I love Rachel. She was beautiful. Rachel was so fine, if the Commodores was here, they would say, she's a brick. I wish I had a witness here. House. You had a tape measure, it would read 36, 24, 36. Matter of fact, Rachel is what inspired Bruno Mars to write that song, You're Beautiful, Just the Way You Are. Rachel was fine. She had hips, lips, and fingertips. I love Rachel. Matter of fact, I told her, Dad, I want to marry her. Dad told me, all right, work for me for 7 years. I did. I worked for him for 7 years. And let me tell you, I love Rachel so much. Those 7 years went by like that. Man, I was so happy. I had my best Eastern outfit on, my sandals. I had my toes done, and I'm out there. Everything else is covered up, so the only thing you got to show off are your toes in the Middle East. I'm there. Father gave her away, and she has that veil on. Everybody's watching. I pull that veil back to kiss Rachel for the first time. And there is ugly, cross-eyed Leah, her older sister. And I told her, Dad, this was not the agreement. This is not the agreement. I worked 7 years for Rachel. He told me, and our custom, the younger daughter can't get married before the older daughter, so you got to marry the older daughter first. I didn't want Leah. There wasn't nothing attractive about Leah. So I asked her, Dad, what do I got to do to get Rachel? He said, work another 7 years. I love Rachel so much. You know what I did? I worked another 7 years, and it went by just like that. I worked 14 years for Rachel. I love Rachel. Rachel couldn't bear me and the children. We tried, but she couldn't bear me and the children. Finally, she buried me Joseph, and I'll talk about him later. Then last, she buried me. She bore me, gave me a son by the name of Benjamin. She died giving birth to him. Had to bury her. Friends, I want to share with you all that I loved her, and I did. I thought I did. You know, when you're young, you kind of got sometimes blind love. I just thought I really, really loved her. But if you read my story in Genesis, that's not who I was buried next to. In Genesis chapter 49, I'm about to die. I'm going to read it for you if you don't mind. Genesis 49, verse 29, then he gave them these instructions, talking about me. I'm about to be gathered to my people, bury me with my fathers in the cave in the field of Ephraim the Hittite, the cave in the field of Machpelah, near Mamre in Canaan, which Abraham brought along with the field as a burial place for Ephraim the Hittite. And Abraham and his wife Sarah were buried. There Isaac and his wife Rebekah were buried, and there I buried Leah. The field and the cave in it were bought from the Hittites. When I finished giving instructions to my sons, I drew my feet up into the bed, and I breathed my last and was gathered to my people. I told my sons, when it's time for me to go, don't bury me next to Rachel. Bury me next to Leah. Here's what I want to share with you all. As this series talks about pivot, the changes that took place in my life. And one of the major pivots that took place, it was the last pivot that took place. I told my sons, I gave them instructions, bury me next to Leah. Some of you all know what it is to make funeral arrangements, or you've had a spouse that died. Because your spouse died and you had to buy a plot of land at the cemetery, you would say, this is for my spouse, and go ahead and make the head marker out and put your name on it, but there's no date on it because you're not dead. And so that's something similar to what I did in Genesis chapter 49. Here's what I want to share with you all when I talk to you all about my life. And what I want to share with you all is that you and I have a lot in common. I'm not for sure if you know this, but you and I have a lot in common. But the first thing we have in common is we're not always doing the right thing, are we? There's times when we want to do right, but evil is always present. Abraham was 175 when he died. Abraham had my father Isaac when he was 100, which means my father Isaac was 75 when he died. My father Isaac had me when he was 60, which means when his father Abraham died, he was 75, and I was 15 when my grandfather died. The good things said about my grandfather, good things said about Isaac, but there's a lot of bad said about me, but I'm a living testimony that you don't always finish the way you start. I started off as a heel grabber. I started off as a trickster. And friends, let me tell you about heel grabbing, and let me tell you about tricksing, and that is whatever goes around. Y'all been there before? Come back around. Jesus said it like this: cast your bread upon the waters, and in many days it shall return unto you. Jesus also said, you will reap what you sow. You reap exactly what you sow. You don't sow apples and reap oranges. You don't sow bananas and reap cucumbers. You reap exactly what you sow. My whole life, all I did was reap trickery. I tricked my brother, I tricked my father, I tricked my father-in-law. I was a trickster. Can I tell you what happened to me? I reaped what I sowed. The first person who got me was my father-in-law. I worked for him for 7 years for his daughter. Didn't get it. I had to work another 7 years. That was the first time he tricked me. The second time he tricked me, I told him I wanted to go. I told him I wanted to go away. I wanted to be a man, be on my own. He tricked me into working for him another couple years and told me that all the goats, because I was a shepherd, that came out, and all the livestock that came out that had marks on them and that was spotted, that he gave to me. Friends, let me tell you, he cheated me out of that. He just kept on and kept cheating me. He changed the wages on me. It's in the story, it's in the book, 10 times. But I want to tell you the worst trick that got me. It was the worst trick. I told you I was married to Rachel. I told you how much I love Rachel. I told you all about that. Rachel bore me a son for the first time, Joseph, and I love Joseph. I love that boy so much, even though he had 10 older brothers. I love me some Joseph. Joseph walked like me, talked like me, laughed like me. I love Joseph. I love him so much, and I know you, as a parent, you're not supposed to have favorites, but I did. I had him tailor-made a coat of many colors. And one day I sent him out to hang out with his brothers who were out there hunting. He goes out there with his coat of many colors. All 10 of them come back. He doesn't come back. He has a coat. His coat that I gave him had blood all over. His son, my brothers, my sons told me that he never made it, and on their way home, they found that coat, and they told me that an animal had killed him. Man, I was hurt. I was devastated. My favorite son had died, grieved and depressed. And I found out 17 years later that the son that they told me had died had not died. Friends, I want to tell you, what goes around, are y'all going to pray with me? It comes back around. Don't you think you can treat people wrong and it's not going to come back on you? I mistreated my brother, I mistreated my father, I mistreated my father-in-law, and in the end, I was tricked. But here's what another thing you and I have in common. What we also have in common is for so many years, I was in love with somebody who was not in love with me. I love Rachel. Me, if you read the story, my story from Genesis chapter 25 to Genesis chapter 50, when you read my story, you will find out there's several times where it says Jacob loved Rachel. That's me. Jacob loved Rachel. But you won't find one time where it says Rachel loved Jacob. I was in love with a woman who wasn't in love with me. I gave her my time. I gave her my energy. I gave her my money. And she wasn't in love with me. Matter of fact, she couldn't even do nothing for me for a while. She couldn't bore me children. Matter of fact, she didn't serve my God. She was a thief. But I was in love with her. When we left her father served many gods. I only served one God. Her father searched us down, searched our tent. Then she was a liar. She told her father that she was on that time of the month when she really wasn't. She had stole his gods. And she knew about my grandfather and our family legacy. We only serve one God. She knew about Isaac. We only serve one God. She knew about myself. We only serve one God. In the words of Joshua, as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. I was in love with a woman. I gave to a woman. I put time in a woman who gave me no benefit, and all she did was mistreat me. I'm talking to somebody inside of here today because you're just like me. Her name ain't Rachel. But there's something you've been putting a whole lot of time, a lot of energy in, a lot of money in, and they can't give back to you. When you look back over your life and you realize how much time and how much energy you put into something that didn't love you, didn't care about you. All it did was take. There came a time she gave birth to my baby boy, Benjamin. I got 12 sons, just in case I didn't tell you that. I got 12 sons. They call it 12 tribes of Jacob. When she gave birth to my baby boy, Benjamin, he died. I buried him. I grieved as any other husband would grieve, as a widower would grieve. And time after time after time, I found out the second thing that you and I have in common, and that is, as I was chasing after Rachel, there was somebody else chasing after me. Do you know who was chasing after me? My first wife, Leah. Leah loved me. Leah absolutely adored me. But I didn't care about Leah because she didn't look like Rachel. She didn't look good to me. She wasn't attractive to me. But let me tell you, as soon as we got married, she was able to bear me children. And do you know what she said? After every child she bore, after the first child she bore, she said, surely he'll love me now. Talk about me. After the second child she bore, surely he'll love me now. Talk about me. After the third child she bore, surely he'll love me now. Talking about me. I want to pause right quick because there's some woman inside of here who've been bearing some man a child and he don't love you. Let me tell you this. If he don't love you before the baby, he ain't going to love you after the baby. First son was Reuben, then Simeon, then Levi, and the fourth child was Judah. After she gave birth to Judah, she does not say, surely he'll love me now. Judah means I'll praise God now. So she took her eyes off of me and put her eyes on him. And if you got a man in your life or a woman in your life that's not doing right, I dare you take your eyes off of them and put your eyes on him. She said, surely I'll praise him now. Leah, all she did was bear me children, give me an inheritance. All she did was give me legacy. All she did was give to me. Even when I lost Rachel and I was weeping and I was down and I was out, it was her that was right there. Can I tell you something? The craziest thing in the world happened. The craziest thing. As Leah nursed me through losing Rachel, the craziest thing happened. We go out, long walks in the desert and cooking me food and conversations and laughs and joys. Somehow, some way, every day, she kept looking better and better and better. I can't explain. She just kept looking better and better and better. And somehow, some way, I started absolutely loving the woman who's been loving me the entire time. What am I trying to say to you all on today? What I'm trying to say to you all on today is this. When it came time for me to die, I didn't want to be buried next to Rachel, a woman or something that couldn't love me back and wouldn't love me back. I want to be buried next to the woman that loved me from the beginning. Friends, I came here to speak to you all on today to tell you all that I don't know what it is, if it's a drug or if it's a gambling problem. I don't know what it is that you've been giving your time, a relationship. I don't know if it's a job, but you just keep giving following, running after, and they can't give back to you. And there's a God who's been there the whole time. He's just like Leah. The Bible tells us in Isaiah 53:1, there's nothing attractive about him that you should want him or desire him. Just like Leah. But if you look back over your life, you can testify. He's been there the entire time. He's been with you every step, through the highs, through the lows, through the ups, through the down, in the light, in the dark, when you're rich, when you're poor. He's been there the whole time. When you messed up, he never gave up on you. He's been there the whole time. God's been there. You ain't always been right by him. But there's never a time he hadn't been right by you. Friends, that's what I want to just share with you all on today as I try to bring this to a conclusion. That conclusion is God's been there all the time. When you were following after whatever you were following after, if it was fame, if it was fortune, if it was drugs, if it was a relationship, when you were following after that, he was there following after you. And you know what he said every time he woke you up in the morning? Surely they'll love me now. You know what he said every time he answered one of your prayers? Surely they'll love me now. You know what he said every time he healed your body? Surely they'll love me now. You know what he said every time he put gas in your car? Surely they'll love me now. You know every time he paid one of your bills, you know what he said? Surely they'll love me now. He's loved you all the time. All the time. Friends, I want to just share with you on today what you've been following after, what you've been loving. I never forget this day was another pivot in my life. There was a day in my life when, I remember how foolish I was. Esau caught up with me. My past caught up with me. And I don't know where you are, don't know who you are, but I want to tell you, sooner or later, your past is going to catch up with you. What you've done in the dark, it's going to come to the light. Esau caught up with me, and he had 400 men. I had a lot of money. I remember I sent my servant out to tell Esau, I'm sorry, I gave him gifts. They said he's still waiting on you. I said, well, I got to do something. I sent another group out. They said he's still waiting on you. I remember it came down to Leah's kids and Rachel's kids. You all know what kids I sent out first. I sent Leah's kids there first because I was young and I was dumb. The last family I sent out was Rachel, and I never will forget, I'm sitting there waiting on doom the next day, knowing that Esau was going to kill me. And instead of Esau showing up, do y'all know who showed up? God showed up. God showed up and changed my name. God showed up and we wrestled. And let me tell you, when you wrestle with God, that's a fight you will not win. He put me in a chokehold, put me in the full Nelson. He put me, DDT me all night long. But I was beat up, but I didn't care. And I told him, he said, it's daybreak. I got to leave before you see my face. And I told him, I ain't going to let you go. I've been through too much. I've endured too much. I struggled too much. I can't let you go till you bless my soul. And it was that night, he touched me in my hip. Left me with a limp. Left me with a limp. He didn't know he leave me with a limp. He changed my walk. But then he changed my name. He said, your name will no longer be Jacob, trickster, supplanter, heel grabber, follower. He says, your name will be Israel. He changed my name. Friends, when you get your name changed, you start realizing what's really, 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 really important to you. And that's why I'm telling you, and I'm done when I tell you this. It was there when he changed my name. That part was epiphany. But then lastly was there when I'm on my deathbed, as I just read in Genesis chapter 49, verse 29. And I realized it's all over. I told my children, bear me next to Leah. The Bible tells us in Colossians chapter 2, verse 22, if we're buried with Christ, we'll be raised with Christ. Friends, when you give your life to the God who loved you so much, he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believes in him should not perish but have everlasting life. When you buried with him in baptism, you'll be raised with him. That's what this message is all about. Who are you going in the grave with? Rachel? Who's a type that you can't get anything back from? She takes, she steals, she lies. Are you going in the grave with Leah, who loved you since day one, who gave to you, who increased your legacy, who increased your wealth, who talked with you, who nourished you? What decision? Who are you going in the grave with? That's why the songwriter said, some glad morning, when this life is over, I'll fly away. When you go in the grave with Jesus, it ain't the end. When you go in the grave with Jesus, let me tell you, you'll be raised just like Jesus. I don't know where you are, I don't know who you are, but I know one thing. You got a choice to make this morning. You can keep following and chasing after things and after people who all they do is take and they never get back in. Or you can give your life to the God that created you, that loved you, that came to this earth to die for you. That's what I love about God, that while we're chasing after wrong, he's been chasing after us. He's always chased after. He never gave up on us. Is there anybody here that can testify he never gave up on me? I had family give up on me. I had parents give up on me. I had children give up on me. But he never gave up on me. And I want to tell you on it, if you're here today and you're like Jacob and you've spent a good portion of your life, I don't know if it's drugs, I don't know if it's alcohol, I don't know if it's lying, I don't know if it's cheating, I don't know what it is, but you spent a great portion of your life chasing after something. It may feel good for a minute, it may feel good for a while, but everything that's good, that feel good to you, is not good for you. Or you could be like me. You can wisen up just like I did at the end. And I want to tell you, the old folks used to sing this song out here, that there's one thing I've done wrong, and that stayed a sinner much too long. An old fool is just a young fool that never learned. I'm so glad I didn't stay a fool. I made a good decision. I remember when Rachel died, I realized at that moment that Leah had loved me and cared about me all the time. And maybe there's something in you that got to die, something around you that God got to take away from you so you can realize how much he loves you. God so loved the world, he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish but have everlasting life. I want to tell you right here, right now, he loves you just the way you are. I don't care what you've done. I don't care how long you've done it. I don't care how long you've been a fool. He loves you just the way you are. You confess with your mouth that Jesus is Lord, believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, and on today you shall be saved. If you're looking for a church home, you won't find a better church than Mount Olive Baptist Church. If you're watching online, join this church. If you're watching online, you could join Jesus. Just confess wherever you are that Jesus is Lord. I want you to come inside of my heart. I don't want this to be in. A change has come over me. He changed my life, and now I'm free. He washed away all my sins, and he made me whole. He washed me white as snow. He changed my life complete. And now I sit at his feet to do what must be done. So I work and work until my Savior comes. A wonderful change has come over me. Oh, a wonderful change has come over me. Lord, a wonderful change has come over me. Lord, he changed my life complete. And now I sit at his feet. Oh, change. Lord, I'm changed. Change. I'm so glad. He changed me. Change. I'm so glad I've been changed. Change. I'm so glad. Anybody been changed? Anybody been changed? Yeah, change. I'm so glad. Yeah. I'm not what I used to be, but I'm not what I ought to be. But that's all right. He ain't through with me. He ain't through with me.
I'm so glad he changed.
Let me hear you say change. Won't he change you? I said, won't he change you? Yes.
I'm so glad he changed me.
He changed my walk. He changed my dog. Yeah. He changed my mind. I'm so glad. I'm so glad
he changed me.
I'm so glad.
I'm so glad he changed me.
I'm so glad.
I'm so glad he changed me. Wonderful change has come over me.
Wonderful, marvelous.
Has come over.
Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. Where would I be? Where would I be? Where would I be? If you had changed me, if you had turned me around, Lord, change. Anybody been changed? Anybody been changed? Anybody been changed? Don't fool me this morning. Anybody been changed?
I'm so glad he changed me.
Changed.
Changed.
Hey.
Changed.
Thank you, Jesus.
Changed. I'm so glad he changed me. Changed. 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 I'm so glad he changed me. Changed.